So we have table 3.1 here with the 12 soil orders named. You can also see that what we call the formative element, that is the little piece of the soil classification name that we take out and we use in other places. So when we're describing a soil really precisely, we'll use a piece of the soil order name to describe it, along with a lot of other pieces. We'll get to those in a little while. So you can see the soil order on this side. The formative element is in the next column. Then there's a little description of what that formative element means. So for instance, if we look at aridisol here, we'll see the ID later, show up in descriptions later. But that comes from the Latin. That's what that L means. Aridus, which means dry. Okay, we pronounce it. You can see how you pronounce it over here. It's funny. They use a lot of soil words to tell you how to pronounce it, which you may not know. But so we have an alpha sol. Let me say these for you. An alpha sol, an andisol. So alpha sol is here. Andisol is here. Aridisol, intisol, gelisol, histisol, inceptisol, mollisol, oxisol, spodisol, ultisol, and vertisol. Okay, so those are how you say all of those things. And over here, pay good attention to this. I won't go over it right now, but pay attention to this, because this really is what we use to define a particular soil. My main goal, one of the main goals for this chapter, is for you to become familiar enough that later on, when the book says we have a mollisol that has tendencies for whatever characteristics, in your mind you say, oh, mollisol. Okay, mollisol is has a deep and dark upper horizon. Sometimes it has what we call argillic, which means it has an increase in clay. Typically we find mollisols under grassland conditions. So pay attention to the descriptions of each one of these. This helps us give names to particular soils. Along with that, let's bring this picture up here. Oops. Let's put that on the side. There we go. You'll see in this next figure, figure 3.6, you'll see that it kind of lays out the 12 soil orders in terms of how little or how much these soil orders have been weathered. Have they had a lot of weathering, or have they had just a little bit of weathering, so that we don't have a lot of what we would a lot of soil forming processes happen on these soils. So you can see we start over here with an entisol, okay, right here, very young soil, a recent soil, and here it's even good because they give names. The little parentheses underneath the names give you an idea. So entisol, recent. As we move to the right, we're getting typically a little more weathering and a little more weathering and more weathering and more weathering and so forth. Histisols up at the top that have organic matter in them. Gelisols that have some form of permafrost. Inceptisols, which is the inception of weather formation. We've got some formation happening, so a beginning of a B horizon, for instance. Andisol, we connect that to volcanoes. And again, as we move this way, we become more and more weathered, and we'll find out what that actually does to the soil in terms of soil fertility. So on the very far end, we've got ultisols, so you'll see a lot of ultisols in the southeast United States, so Georgia and those sorts of places, because of the high amount of rainfall that they receive, and the hot humid weather. So in terms of soil forming factors, those are a couple that are related to climate that give us older looking soils, older weathered soils. Oxisols are the oldest or the most weathered of soils. They are typically found in tropical climates, so they have a huge amount of water that's moving through them and weathering them, and they typically tend to be not as fertile as what we would find as we move this way.